challenge tonight. I kind of valued the fact that they gave us a game and came out competitive in that second period and took the lead. I thought it was good for our team to have to face a little adversity. Second half, they trounced us on the boards, but we were able to win the turnover thing. I think that kind of gave us a ability to come back and take the lead.
Defensive rebounds have been a problem through the first 6 games. What isn't happening for you guys?
Well, yeah, I think it's our, commitment to defense. Tonight it was some of the guys going to the basket that we had to cover, and then there's no one on the boards because our bigs are going to try and block that, or cover drivers, and now the rebounds are up for grabs. And this pair of guys, in Evans and Mayor Johnson, are terrific rebounders. So that's another thing. But we have to get that in order.
Is this something that's more of a survive this stretch until Andrew gets back to short the boards?
Well, partially that. I think we're pushing the limit a little bit on Powell. He's playing 43 minutes, and Lamar's playing a lot of minutes. We have to shorten that somehow and get those guys down somehow in the minutes and still be able to win the ball game. And right now, I'm not finding adequate rotation to give them the kind of rest they need.
Are you? What is your feeling about your defensive play? It seems like some of these games you just sort of outscored everybody.
That's true. Well, that's the key to winning games, is to outscore them, but sometimes you don't want them to get 100 points, and we've been giving up 100 points, almost all the time. We had one defensive game I thought that was good. So it's our offense, pace we're playing at. We're playing at a higher pace a lot of times. We got going at a high pace in the second period. That fed into what Toronto did. They got 38 points. In that quarter, anytime you give up 38-point quarter, it really comes back to hunch in the course of a game.
You talked yesterday a little bit about what Andrew provides defensively, but before he comes back, what parts of the defensive effort are correctable?
Oh, transition defense is always the key. Tonight it was, I think, the fast break points were quite noticeable. Maybe they doubled us in fast break points. We've been 24-12 or something like that. A lot of them on runouts, just plain and simple. People getting back in transition to provide support, and bigs running back and getting their hands turned.
Were you worried there might be a letdown after a few of these breezy?
I think you heard in my pregame talk. I mentioned the fact that I told the players that didn't practice yesterday, the onus was on them to come out and play, or I'd be on their ass, either one or the other. So they took the onus and they went with it. So tomorrow we'll have a good practice and get back in it.
You thought there was too much three-point shooting for the first 5 games. You mentioned we're inside, we're in a team. But it seemed like some of the looks are so wide open. Kobe drawing a double, throwing a skip pass,
There were some tonight. The 3 points I didn't want to see were happening in the zone, which always feeds into a zone because they can run out. There's a transition situation that's always at balance from a zone perspective, playing against it. And I thought they fed quite well off their zone defense tonight, and we complied and took a lot of threes inside of that.
Do you think the team is better than it's been at dealing with the zone, at least compared to some of the struggles of the last year or two? Is it progressively getting better, or is it kind of just?
It's just a focus. It's about making sure penetration happens. It's the key. And so easy to get the ball moved around the perimeter and say I'm open. That's a three, and shoot it when you haven't really got the initial penetration with the ball, and that has to happen to create defensive misalignment.
You've talked about the difficulty managing Powell and Lamar's minutes. It seems like that you've had a much easier time managing Kobe's.
Much more support behind Kobe. Shannon's playing great. In fact, I'm limiting some of Shannon's minutes when he's played really well, just so Kobe doesn't sit too long and get stiff. Tonight, I thought he played Barbosa better than anybody else. I didn't try Sasha on him. There's some history on him, but anyway, Shannon, stayed out there to finish the game in that regard.
Are those guys making it hard for you to pick a guy to put on the floor?
No.
I mean,
it's a good thing to have.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Do you believe in the teachable moments like this game?
Well, Well, that'll come when we sit down and talk about the game tomorrow. Right now, it's too close to the game to talk about it in that direction.
What did you see out of Luke? What did you see out of Luke and, the 6 minutes?
I thought Luke can help, just in our defensive, understanding and how to get around the court and, some of the offensive sequences that we want to run. And I thought he could also be a box-out guy with the best thing that's possible in boxing out these guys that are so good on the boards.
You talked a little bit about the importance before the game of just team being able to establish some leads where you can give the starters some rest. How do you weigh that variable versus, what you mentioned about this being kind of a good test for you guys in terms of adversity?
Yeah, that's a good comment there, and I really don't know how to respond to that. We want to keep this winning streak going, obviously.
Right.
And so we push it a little bit far. We're also at home, which is always easier to play. Rest comes easier. With that knowledge in mind, we know that the next, contest against Portland's going to be, a real challenge. Their team, has a good idea how they want to play us and do a good job with it. And so we have our challenge ahead of us. It's always nice to keep a winning streak going. We'll extend it. So we're kind of pushing the envelope right now.
Tom picked up his first rebound in the third quarter.
Yes.
Was there something going on that he wasn't doing tonight? I mean, obviously, getting rebounds, but.
Well, I think
more
they
than
shot
that?
58% the first half, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, in the high 50s. And, so there's a limited amount of rebounds. But, this team has a lot of outside exterior screening going on. You're on the outside, a lot of times you're in a rotation. You might have taken away from the hoop. I really can't remember many opportunities where he could have got a rebound when I think about it. It just wasn't coming his way.